Hey guys, it's me Elizabeth. I'm back with another video. Today we are going to be doing a bookshelf tour. I may have done one of these in the past, but I thought because it's getting close to the end of the year, we are in December now, so we're at the end of the year, and this year is going to be kind of over semi-soon, and I thought it'd be fun to do a bookshelf tour because I definitely have gotten rid of books and gotten more books since the last time I tried doing one of these. I don't know if I ever posted one. I may have done so, but if so, my bookshelves are definitely updated differently now, and I thought it would be fun to show you. I'm going to go through each shelf and show you some of the books. I'm going to show you my favorite books on the shelf, one or two books maybe, and the book I most anticipated on the shelf, if there is a book that I haven't read on the shelf, and then I'm just going to show you kind of the rest of the books. I might not show you every single book, but I'll show you most of them, and you can just kind of get an idea of what my bookshelves look like and see what books I have and I'm interested in so. First off, I just want to do an honorable mention of the TBR cart. It's not exactly a TBR cart anymore. Down here, I just have some books and notebooks. These are just like kind of like random stuff, and some of these were kind of current reads. This is just my paperback library, which means it's either a book I don't care about or it's a duplicate book that I have for a library that people can borrow these books from. And this is just like my Bible, my hymnal, some books that I'm reading / want to read next, and another Bible there. I'm just going to give you an overview of my bookshelves. We have this white bookshelf with the windows and the black bookshelf. So this is what they look like. Starting with my bottom shelf, we just have kind of like this kind of a mess, but we have over on this side we have some kids books, and then here we just have some, like, if I remove this sign you can see it better. We just have some like bigger books. We have like a kid's book, we have Tea Dragon Society, Dragonology, and a Wand Maker's Guidebook, and then a bunch of magazines and comic books for like Marvel and stuff. And then over here we have some fake books that you can open, and then just some cookbooks. There's an empty space because I had a cookbook here, but someone is using it right now. And yeah, we just have this wood block, which my dad cut out of a piece of wood, and just some tabbies. And yeah, that's the shelf. And these papers are, this one is a book cover that I don't have the proper book to use for this. It's for a Harry Potter hardcover that I don't own yet. We're getting into the actual like books that I'm going to be showing you. So here we have this bookshelf. I would say my favorite book on this bookshelf is 100% Unbroken, because this is my second favorite book of all time. Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. If you haven't read it, go read it immediately. What are you doing with your life? And my most anticipated book might be Seabiscuit, also by Laura Hillenbrand. Anticipated because it's by Laura Hillenbrand and she's such a good writer. And so starting over here we have It by Stephen King. We have a book that's not mine, it's just related to history. We have C.S. Lewis's poems and some more Brandon Sanderson stuff that doesn't belong to me. We have this old New Testament Bible, like an antique. And then we have Legends and Lies. This is a book about Western, like cowboys and stuff in history. And then we have some supernatural books, some books that were given to me for Christmas, Agatha Christie, and this devotional book thing. And then we have Mary Poppins in the Park, some more C.S. Lewis. We have a psych book. We have some Lemony Snicket. This is a Cimarelli book, some J.K. Rowling, The Winter Sister, some Lauren Graham, obviously Nicholas Sparks, we'll have to remember, Christine Ricciardo's Again But Better. 20 Hours and 40 Minutes. This is Amelia Earhart. And Frank. This is kind of like my history section. And then from this point over here is just kind of random, just like my contemporary or adult or other random books that I don't really have a category for. Technically, I should put this one with the history section. I'm just thinking of that now. But yeah, and then this one is actually a free book. This box of books came, and it wasn't my box of books from this website that I ordered books from, and I was so confused, and I was contacting the people saying my books didn't come, and then literally the next day my books came, and I was like, and then I told them that, and they're like, well, now you have this free box of books, you can donate them if you don't want them, and I'm like, okay, so I guess I get to keep them. So this is a signed copy. I have no idea if this is any good, but I was reading the description. It sounded like it could be kind of interesting, so I might keep it for now. Maybe I'll read it, maybe not. Might just get rid of it sometime, not really sure. But I thought since it's free, I'll just keep it for now. Next shelf, we go into some classics and historical fashion. So I'm going to break it up into both sections and tell you which is my favorite book out of each section. My favorite book from the historical fashion section is actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it's behind there. It's Patterns of Fashion, and it's the Janet Arnold book, which is the, which number is it? It's Patterns of Fashion 2, so it's the one with like the Victorian era. And then my most anticipated read, it's probably 19th Century Fashion in Detail, because I started reading this back in October and I haven't gotten to finish it. But this one's more of like you can actually kind of read it, whereas this one's just more of like a bunch of pictures that you look at and you can, there's stuff that you can read, but it's not like, it's not really like as readable, I would say. So probably this one, but this one's probably one of the coolest ones I have. Then we have like some other Victorian related fashion books over here, and then we come over here and we have some classics. This is just kind of the start, or shall I say the end of my classics. The start is up there, but we have these two came in that box that I was talking about, so 2 free books that I decided I'll keep them and try them out. Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne and Phantom of the Opera. Then we have this book, which is very interesting, Inventing Scrooge. I found this and I was just like, sounds very interesting. I'm very into Dickens. David Copperfield. So if you can't tell by this shelf, my favorite book is Anne of Green Gables, because Anne of Green Gables, and the whole Anne set. This one I just got recently. My most anticipated read on this shelf. So I just needed to show you these 2 covers. These are 2 of the books from the Anne series, and they're so beautiful. I mean, you can see this one. I'll give you a kind of close up. That's my second favorite cover out of the really cool covers. This is my favorite cover. Look at that. It's so beautiful. I actually think that I like this cover, like the design of this one and the coloring, better than this one. But this edition is really cool because it has, like, you know, illustrations on the inside, and it's got pink edges and box and everything. It's really cool. But this cover and design, I think is better. And oh, it's so pretty. I love the fall and Anne and Gilbert there. It's so beautiful. Anyways, putting these back in here. I would say besides the Anne series, which is, I guess, pretty anticipated, my most anticipated read on here might be Homer's The Iliad, because I just got that recently and I've always been interested in reading Homer, and I've never actually, I've read a version, I think I read a kid's version of the Odyssey, but I've never actually read the Iliad, and I've always been interested in like Greek stuff, so I think that'd be really fun to read. And I'm actually pretty excited about Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. I have read this before, but I want to read it again. I got this copy on Thrift Books, and I'm pretty excited to have it, so yeah. Top shelf is just full-on classics. So my favorite book on this shelf is probably probably this one or this one, As far as reading goes, it would be Nicholas Nickleby. As far as like just the book in general, it would have to be the Little Dorrit one, because these are really old copies, and I actually read this story. I only read half of this story, and I love them both. They're both Dickens, and I love Dickens, and it's just a thing. My most anticipated read would also probably have to be Little Dorrit, even though I've only read half of it. It's anticipated because it's like, if I can just finish it, it will probably be my favorite Dickens novel. I am just going solely by the fact that I love the miniseries done by BBC, which is what this cover is from. And it's just a really good miniseries, and I think the book is at least semi-similar, so at least what I've read so far is, I should say. And so, yeah, that's one that I'm really anticipating. So then we have, over here we have all of our like really, really old books or antiques / found at the thrift store. So we have Charles Dickens, we have The Great Expectations, The Old Curiosity Shop, Nicholas Nickleby, we have two really old versions, Little Dorrit, Sense and Sensibility, Emma. We have a Bungalow Mystery, which is Nancy Drew, and then we have Old Fashioned Girl. This is a really cool, like, Edwardian Victorian, A Prisoner of the Sea. It's a really old book. And then we have Complete Sherlock Holmes, American Short Stories, Ivanhoe, Anne of Green Gables Again, Christmas Carol, Scarlet Pimpernel. This one would have to be one of my favorites on this shelf also. Read that this year, gave it a 5 stars, so definitely on my favorites of this shelf. Some Louisa May Alcott, more Dickens and Jane Austen, Les Miserables. We've got The Canterbury Tales and Cranford. We got Jane Eyre and Austen's complete novel. First off, I'd like to say that on the top of this black one are just my movies and TV shows. It's just the best place I had to put them in. I actually kind of love it there because it's nice and out of the way and it looks kind of cool. So that's just what I have on top of that one there. We're going to start from the bottom here because this is probably my least favorite section of books on this shelf. And this is like kind of YA / sci-fi / random books that don't really have a place anywhere else on this shelf. Basically, the rest of the shelves here on this bookshelf are fantasy, so these are my all non-fantasy. So my favorite book on this shelf is the one that is facing out, Catching Fire. And my most anticipated book is Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, because it's Brandon Sanderson and I just want to read everything. I also want to say another one of my favorites, at least on this shelf particularly, would have to be Unbound. I wouldn't say that Unbound or Hunger Games would be on my favorite books list, but they're my favorite out of the books on this shelf. So, yeah. So first we have The Toll. I don't have the rest of the series. This is actually the last book. I accidentally got the wrong book. Then we have some Miss Peregrine's Unbound. We have Hunger Games. And then we have some Doctor Who books. Some Kathy Reichs, who is what the TV show Bones was created after. These books, this one was inspired by. This is what the TV show Bones was inspired by. And that's my favorite TV show. Then we have some Marvel stuff back here, some superhero things. And that is that shelf. This next shelf, we are moving into my fantasy, which will be the rest of this. So my favorite book on this shelf would have to be either Elantris by Brandon Sanderson or Ash Princess by Laura Sebastian. I read both of those and I really enjoyed them. I really enjoyed this one this year. Brandon Sanderson's a pretty good writer, so that. And my most anticipated has to be The Ichabod by J.K. Rowling, because J.K. Rowling. Need I say more? If you know me at all, you know I'm obsessed with J.K. Rowling books. So that's probably my most anticipated, but I am really anticipating these two once I finish the first one, which will be a century from now. So starting at the beginning here, we have Blood by Blood, Blood for Blood, sorry. And this is the Wolf by Wolf, the second book in that series. I've heard so many people talk about how good this is, or not so many people. I've heard a few people say how amazing this series is, and it's basically like, I think, historically inspired, but I don't have the first book. I actually found this one at Dollar Tree, and I was like, oh my gosh, is it a book that people keep talking about? I have to buy it. So I had this one. Then we have Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere, Night Circus, and we have Along the Razor's Edge. This is a book I found at a used store. It is called The Magician, Nicholas Flamel, The Secrets of the, and yeah, it's basically about Nicholas Flamel, which I thought was really cool because, you know, I thought Harry Potter and, you know, magic, and that's really cool. Then we have 4 of the Percy Jackson second series, the Heroes of Olympus, and again, we have some of the Warbringer and Oathbringer, the Ward of Radiance and Oathbringer, sorry. Then we have Dividing Eden, Ironfoot, Elantris, and Name of the Wind over here. Okay, so this next shelf is my childhood favorites. This is how I have made this shelf into. So my favorite book on this shelf, I mean, it's kind of cheating, but it's this one, Deathly Hallows, which is my favorite book of all time. This should technically be with my Harry Potter section, but when I did that, I forgot I had this, and then I found this, and I was like, it goes right here. It was a childhood favorite, still is a favorite, so it goes right there. But if we're not including Harry Potter, because I have a whole section for that, then I would have to say The Chronicles of Narnia, and if I had to pick one book, I would say Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe and The Bad Beginning, because, not The Bad Beginning, I'm sorry, this one, number 8, The Hostile Hospital, because I was obsessed with this series when I was younger, and for some reason, this one was my favorite, and A Series of Unfortunate Events is such a, like, childhood, like, in love with this series so much. And then Narnia was just one that we listened to on audiobook, like, so many times I can't even explain it. And, you know, Percy Jackson's a great series, too. I don't really have an anticipated read because I've read all of these books, so it doesn't work for this one, but yeah. Next we have some of my favorites, and this is the shelf of, like, my favorite fantasies, kind of, at least going from here till here. We have the Aragon series, Inheritance Cycle. My favorite book on this shelf would have to be Inheritance or Aragon by Christopher Pliny, and Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Of course, great series. My most anticipated read. It's right there. I haven't read it yet, but I'm excited because it's Christopher Pliny, and I just love all of his books. So this is great. And then we have some Robin Hood related tales and Arthurian tales over here. Now we have, like, some more fantasy series. My favorite book on this shelf is either Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which is this one right here, or Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Now I say this one because this series was just so good, and I'm just so excited to read A Sky Beyond the Storm, which leads me into my most anticipated read, which is Sky Beyond the Storm or Ninth House, or even Crescent City. Like, basically all 3 of these are pretty anticipated, but these 2 are the most anticipated ones. So over here we have Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales. Then we have Ember in the Ashes. We have 3 of the books here. We don't have the second one. Then we have some Throne of Glass series, the whole thing here. And then we got the rest of these are Leigh Bardugo, which is the Shadow and Bone trilogy, the Six of Crows duology, Language of Thorns, and King of Scars. And then we have this little tiny, this is a TARDIS ornament that my aunt made for me last year for Christmas. And, you know, my mom gets us ornaments every year for Christmas, and she told my aunt to make these stained glass ones for us. So I got a little tiny TARDIS, and it's the cutest thing, and I just keep it in my room. And I know it's Christmas and I should put it on the tree, but I like having it on my bookshelves, so yeah, that's that. And we have another piece of wood up here. Here is my last and favorite section. have you guessed it yet? The Harry Potter section. I mean, you could see it there. But this is my favorite section. My favorite book on here, I mean, I could just say Deathly Hallows because that's my favorite Harry Potter book. It's pretty cool, but I really love the character vault. The Harry Potter character vault is really cool. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. And some of these, like these four here, and like the illustrated editions, I haven't fully read any of those. So my most anticipated read would have to be all of the illustrated editions. I read the first one all the way through, and I read part of the second one, and then I stopped and decided to wait and get all of the books and then read them all at once together, kind of a thing. Wait till all of them come out, which will be a long time. But that's also good because I've read Harry Potter so many times that I honestly don't need to read it all the way through again anytime soon. And I just read the 7th book this year, so, you know, I'm good to wait for a while to read them again. So, starting at this end, we have a nice little niffler. He houses all of my nickels because he is a penny bank. We have a support Cedric Diggory and Potter Stinks badge. And then we have the wand collection. This is falling over. And this is just a notebook that looks like a history of magic. And this is the first edition UK from 1997, which is really cool, of the Philosopher's Stone. And then we have a book about J.K. Rowling. We have the Hogwarts Library. We have the screenplay for Crimes of Grindelwald, Fantastic Beasts. And here is a little chess piece. This is made by Cherry Wallace, who is a YouTuber. And then we have the Case of Beasts and the Archive of Magic, Crimes of Grindelwald, and Fantastic Beasts. And then we have the Character Vault and Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them Illustrated Edition. We have Fred here. And then we have the whole series. Yes, I need some hardcovers right here. This one needs replaced in these two. But that is my whole series. Then we have George. We have the illustrated editions. And we have A Journey Through a History of Magic. We have Mimbletonia. Don't know if I pronounced that right, but that is Neville's Cactus, another Cherry Wallace item. And then we have these little character books. Oh, I just knocked that over. We have 2 little character books, one for Ron and one for Hermione. They're kind of dumb, but I found them at Walmart one time and I was like, it's Harry Potter. So, yeah. And then we have Harry Potter Spellbook, Newt Scamander Movie Scrapbook, Crafting the World of Harry Potter, and Harry Potter Ultimate Quiz Book. And then we have Society for Promotion of Elfish Welfare Donations Welcome. This is another money bank. This houses all my pennies. And then we have this, which is a little music box. Hold on. Yeah, well, you can tell it plays the Harry Potter theme. And then we have this little tiny wand. This came in one of those, like, little mystery wand things. And it's Porpentina Goldstein's wand, I think, from Fantastic Beasts. So yeah. That is the Harry Potter shelf. And we also have a not a Hedwig. I almost said Hedwig. This is a little owl, stuffed owl that I got for Christmas from my cousin, and I named it Pigwidgeon because I like Pigwidgeon more than Hedwig. I'm sorry. And this is a little tiny Weasley twin Lego. Yeah. So that is it for the bookshelf tour. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more bookish content, I will have my channel linked below. You can check that out and see my other bookish videos. If you're into history or fashion, you can check out my other channel about historical fashion, linked down below. And if you're not reading, you're doing it wrong. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.